Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the parliament, alright? And basically these are the topics that we have scheduled for the discussion under this particular series, like starting with the introduction part, thereafter the organization of parliament, composition of the two houses, system of elections to the Lok Sabha, duration of two houses, membership of parliament, presiding officers of parliament, leaders in parliament, sessions of parliament, devices of parliamentary proceedings, legislative procedure in parliament, joint sitting of two houses, budget in parliament, multifunctional role of parliament, ineffectiveness of parliamentary control, position of Rajya Sabha, parliamentary privileges, and the sovereignty of the parliament. Okay, these are the topics. Out of this, we have done with the introduction part, the organization of parliament, composition of two houses, system of elections to Lok Sabha, duration of two houses, membership of parliament, presiding officers of the parliament, leaders in parliament. And the topic we have been discussing upon is the session of parliament. Alright. And the remaining topics are devices of parliamentary proceedings, legislative procedure in parliament, joint sitting of two houses, budget in parliament, multifunctional role, ineffectiveness, position of Rajya Sabha, parliamentary privileges, and the sovereignty of the parliament. Okay, so this is the picture that we have created so far altogether. Alright, so we will start from where we had left in the previous lecture. So let's start. Okay, so basically in the previous lecture we had discussed like whip, adjournment, and sine die. Okay, we had discussed that whip is neither the constitutional position, not established by rules, not established by the parliamentary statutes. Basically, it is an you can say conventional body, okay, which is generally present in the parliaments all around the world. Okay. Thereafter, we had discussed about the adjournment. Like adjournment is the, you can say, condition when the parliament got suspended during the parliamentary session for a specified time period. And adjournment sine die is a situation when the parliament suspends during the session without a specified time period. Okay. So these are the things that we had covered. So now basically we are going to start the prorogation. Okay. So the presiding officer, whether the speaker or the chairman, declares the house adjourned sine die when the business of a session is completed. Alright. Business of a session means, like we had discussed, there are 3 parliament sessions. Okay. Now it is becomes the question to you. Okay. You are required to tell me names of parliamentary session. Alright. And their timelines. Okay, names of the parliamentary sessions and their timelines you are required to tell me. For this, you have 40 seconds to think and answer, then I will give you the answer. And we had just covered it in the previous lecture, so I hope that you know the answer. So your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, the time's up. So basically, there are 3 parliamentary sessions. Names are budgetary session. Okay. Thereafter, monsoon session. Thereafter, winter session. Okay. And if we talk about the timeline, budgetary session is from February to May. All right. Monsoon session is from July to September. All right. And winter session is from November to December. Okay. So remember, these timelines. All right. So this is the thing. Within the next few days, the president issues a notification for prorogation of the session. It means that once the session of house completes, it means that, for example, suppose it is a monsoon session was going on. All right. And we know the timeline is from July to September. Okay. So when the last sitting was completed, okay, then what will happen? The presiding officer, whether the speaker or the chairman, they declares now the house is adjourned sine die. It means that it has been suspended for undefined time period. Okay. Then what happened after this announcement? When the session is not, when the parliament is not in the session, the president is required to issue the notification for the prorogation of session. It means that in the short and sweet, we can say it is a next meeting date. Okay. However, the president can also prorogate the house while in session. All right. The specific differences between the adjournment and the prorogation we will see in the upcoming table. All right. After this, another term that we could see here is the dissolution. Okay. The Rajya Sabha, being a permanent house, is not subject to the dissolution. That's why we often called it as an upper house. Okay. Only the Lok Sabha is subject to the dissolution. That's why it is also called as a lower houses. Okay. Unlike a prorogation, a dissolution ends the very life of the existing house and a new house is constituted after general elections are held. Okay. If we talk about the dissolution process of Lok Sabha, then it is basically could take place either of the two ways. The first way is the automatic dissolution. That is on the expiry of its tenure of 5 years or the terms as extended during the national emergency. Okay. Like we know, if we talk about the general time period, if we talk about the general time period, we know it is for the 5 years. All right. And if national emergency is in the force, so it will be extended up to the 1 year. Okay. So basically, in the normal circumstances, within the 5 years, the House will adjourn, and in the extraordinary circumstances, after the 6 years. Okay. This is the thing. After the automatic dissolution, the another one is whenever the president decides to dissolve the house which is authorized to do. It means that basically, if the president seems that it is necessary that we should dissolve the Lok Sabha, then he could do it. Once the Lok Sabha dissolved before the completion of his tenure, the dissolution is irrevocable. Okay, it means that after getting dissolved, it is irrevocable, which means nothing could be done against president orders. All right. So when the Lok Sabha dissolved, all business, like including the bills, motions, resolutions, notice, petitions, and so on, which were pending before the committees lapse. Okay, they to be pursued further must be reintroduced in the newly constituted Lok Sabha. Okay, it means that if there is any certain bill, any certain motion, any certain resolution, okay, that was pending before the Lok Sabha when it got dissolved. Okay, so that one will be pending. Okay, and this could not be automatically resumed. It means that it is not like that once the newly constituted Lok Sabha will meet and again the previous ones which were got pending before the dissolution, these bills, motions, resolutions, notice, petition, either of them would be started discussion again. No, they are required to be reintroduced. It means that if the newly constituted Lok Sabha and any member of it wants to discuss those bills, motions, resolutions, notice and petitions, then the person required to reintroduce it. Okay, why? Because these are not automatically resumed. All right. However, some pending bills and all pending assurance that are to be examined by the Committee on Government Assurance do not lapse on the dissolution of the Lok Sabha. Okay, it means that all the other ones would be lapsed until, or you can say except those pending bills, okay, and those pending assurance which were required to be examined by the Committee on Government Assurance. All right. The position with respect to lapsing of bills is as follows. First, a bill pending in the Lok Sabha lapses whether originating in the Lok Sabha or transmitted to it by the Rajya Sabha. Okay, it means that whether the bill was initially introduced in the Lok Sabha and the bill was introduced in the Rajya Sabha but then pass it for the Lok Sabha, because I have told you if any bill is to be the you can say implemented as a legislature, then it is required to get passed by the both houses separately. All right. Thereafter, a bill passed by the Lok Sabha but pending in the Rajya Sabha lapses. Okay, it means that the bill was originated in the Lok Sabha, discussed and passed by it, and then the bill was given to the Rajya Sabha, but then suddenly the Lok Sabha dissolves. Then the bill which had been sent to the Rajya Sabha would also be dissolved. All right. A bill not passed by the two houses due to the disagreement, and if the president has notified the holding of the joint sitting before the dissolution of the Lok Sabha does not lapse. Okay, remember, a bill not passed by the two houses due to the disagreement, and if the president has notified the holding of a joint sitting before the dissolution of Lok Sabha, does not lapse. Okay. After this, a bill pending in the Rajya Sabha but not passed by the Lok Sabha does not lapse. Okay, it means that the bill was not passed by the Lok Sabha. It means that the bill was already failed. So the bill had no resemblance with the house, so that's why it is not lapse. Thereafter, passed by both houses but pending assent of the president does not lapse. Okay, because the bill is already passed, and a bill passed by both houses but written by the president for the reconstitution of house does not lapse. Why? Because it has crossed initial stage of passing it. All right. After this, now we have the difference between adjournment versus the prorogation. Okay. So basically, if we talk about the adjournment, it only terminates a sitting and not a session of the house. Okay. And if we talk about the prorogation, okay, it is not only terminates a sitting but also a session of the house. All right. It means that urgent is only terminates a sitting, and we know the sitting is of two types. Morning sitting and post lunch sitting. Okay, so now you are required to tell me the time of them. At what time there is a morning shift and at what time there is a post lunch shift. I had already told you in the previous lecture, so I hope you know the answer. For this, you have 30 seconds to answer, and your time starts now. Just think about it. Ten seconds have been passed off, last 20 remaining. Last 10 seconds remaining. And the time's up. So the morning shift having the time period of 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and the post lunch sitting having the time period of 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. All right. So basically, whenever the adjournment is in the force, either of the shift will be cancelled. Okay. But whenever the prorogation is in the force, not only the shift, but also the session, where it is of monsoon, where it is of budget, where it is of winter, all of them will be what? Cancelled or terminates. After this, it is done by presiding officer of the house, okay, and it is done by the President of India. So the authorities are different. Here the presiding officer is the authority, here is the President of India's authority. Thereafter, it does not affect the bills or any other business pending before the house, and the same can be resumed when the house meets again, because it only terminates the sitting. It also does not affect the bills or any other business pending before the house. However, all pending notices other than those for introducing bills lapse on prorogation, and fresh notices have to be given for the next session. It means that before presenting some bills, they required the notice. Okay, so that the members of the house could be prepared for that particular thing. All right. So suppose in the morning shift, for example, in the morning shift, notice had been provided. Okay. And this is of the, you can say 1st March thing. For example. All right. Then what happened? The morning shift was urgent. Okay. Sorry. The notice was provided in the morning shift and the topic is to be discussed in the post-lunch shift. Then what happened? The post-lunch shift urgent due to some reason on 1st March. So the topic could not be discussed. So on the 2nd March, when the house will resume, the same notice which had been given on the 1st March in the morning shift is not applicable. It means that again, the fresh notice is required to release. Okay. Then only the house will start its discussion over it. Okay. In Britain, prorogation brings to end all bills or any other business pending before the house, but not in the Indian system. We practice it. All right. Okay, we have finished it. After this, now the topic is of the quorum. About the quorum, I had already told you, but now here we are going to talk it about further. So basically, quorum is the minimum number of members required to be present in the house before it can transact any business. And it is 1/10. 1/10 of total number of members in each house, including the presiding officer. Okay, because the presiding officer is also a member of house which is in charge of some extraordinary duties to perform. It means that there must be at least 55 members in the Lok Sabha and 25 members present in the Rajya Sabha if any business is to be conducted. 55 members in Lok Sabha and 25 members in Rajya Sabha. Okay. If there is no quorum during a meeting of the house, it is the duty of the presiding officer either to adjourn the house or to suspend the meeting until there is a quorum. Okay. It means that the presiding officer could not allow the house to carry out the business transaction if this quorum, or you can say this minimum requirement of 1/10 not satisfied. Okay. 55 members present in the Lok Sabha and 25 members present in the Rajya Sabha. All right. That is the thing. After this, the next thing that we have to see here is the voting in house. Okay. It is also an important pillar of democracy. Okay. All matters and any sitting of either house or joint sitting of the houses are decided by a majority of votes of the members present and voting, excluding the presiding officer. Okay. Remember, the presiding officers do not having the ordinary voting powers. Okay. And if we're talking about the presiding officer, so please do not get confused. Like Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Okay. In Lok Sabha, The presiding officers are Speaker, Deputy Speaker. Okay. In Rajya Sabha, it is Chairman, Deputy Chairman. All right. So basically, if we take it in that way, so the presiding officer here only denoting the twos, the Speaker and the Chairman. Now, many of you will ask, like, sir, the Deputy Speaker and the Deputy Chairman are also the presiding officers. Then why we are not including them? I have told you, until or unless they are not acting as the Speaker or the Chairman respectively, because they could only do it when the former is absent or office is vacant. Only in these two conditions they act as an Speaker or the Chairman. But if these conditions are not there, so they are also a ordinary member of the House. All right. So that's the thing. So we know that the Speaker and the Chairman does not having the ordinary voting powers. Instead of this, they having the casting votes power, which they could exercise only during the tie situations. Okay. Only a few matters which are specially mentioned in the Constitution, like the impeachment of the President. Okay. Amendment of the Constitution, removal of the presiding officers of the Parliament, and so on. They require the special majority, not the ordinary majority. Okay. Special majority I had told you many times. The presiding officers of a house does not vote in the first instance, but exercises the casting vote in the case of an equality of votes or the tie-up situations. Okay. After this, the proceedings of a house are to be valid irrespective of any unauthorized voting or participation or any vacancy in its membership. All right. Remember this. So students, actually the voting in the House is a long topic and I don't think that we have a sufficient time right now to discuss them. So what we will do that we will discuss them in the next lecture and we will end this lecture here. All right. So basically we have discussed several facts and figures in this lecture. I hope that the facts were very much clear to you to understand. Okay. And it is also my request to all of you, kindly revise them. Okay. Because right now you can see that we have covered a vast area of topics like introduction, organization of parliament, composition of two houses, system of elections to the Lok Sabha, duration of houses, membership of parliament, presiding officers, leaders in parliament, and now we have been discussing upon the sessions of parliament. Okay. So now you are required to revise them all. If you are not revising this, so this chapter is too large. The things will be compiler for you and you want people to grasp the facts. That is very much clear to you. Okay, so with this note, let's end this lecture and what we say thank you.